any kind of substantial conflict could destroy a relationship if it has been allowed to deteriorate little by little. And that happens when conflict arises, anger exists that's not discussed, expressed, and forgiveness doesn't happen.
I think of advice, that I gave myself when we got married. And my advice to newly married couples, and actually advice to anyone who's married, is do not let the sun go down on your anger. A good place to start is right when you get married, because when two people get married,
there's going to be a little bit of adjustment time.
Yeah, because now the reality is you marry someone who you're compatible with. So there's some areas that you're very alike in, right? But not all the time, but very likely you're opposites in other areas.
Or at least significantly different.
Yes.
Yes.
Now with us, I mean, our faith, we're united. In terms of lifestyle, we're pretty on sync. But I would say that you and I our brains work in the exact opposite way.
We think about things in a different way.
Yes.
And look at things in a different way.
Yes.
Conflict in a marriage between husband and wife can slowly deteriorate the relationship.
Yes.
Take it apart brick by brick until it's no longer a strong edifice, but a weak structure, subject to destruction with an earthquake. Any kind of substantial conflict could destroy a relationship if it has been allowed to deteriorate little by little. And that happens when conflict arises, anger exists that's not discussed, expressed, and forgiveness doesn't happen.
So early on in our marriage, I don't even remember what it is, which is why it's great, because I don't remember. But there was something that I felt very hurt by, something that I don't know if you said or you did or something, but I felt very hurt. And
I don't remember either.
And I was not. It was not an easy thing for me to communicate. I was a conflict avoider.
As so many people are.
Most
of us.
In much of my early years, I had to learn to speak up, even though I perceived it as a conflict. And I remember, I have to say something before we go to sleep at night. And I remember...
Because of that scripture?
Because of that scripture.
Which
Do
was,
not let the sun go down on your anger.
Where is that?
That's in Ephesians 4, I think 26, something like that.
Right.
Do not let the sun go down on your anger. And I knew...
By the way, that's not to say anger won't happen.
Right.
Anger will happen.
Yeah.
And that's normal.
Right.
Even God gets angry.
Right. But I knew that if I don't say something, that tomorrow it's going to be bigger.
Right.
And then the next day, the anger, it's like a snowball rolling down a hill. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and gathers more momentum. So I mustered up everything in me to mention how I felt hurt. Yeah. And I was shocked at your reaction. You're like, oh, you felt that way? I'm sorry. I mean, he had no intention of hurting me.
No.
But he didn't understand how...
Whatever I said.
How I felt.
Yeah.
And we began to learn, wow, we really are different.
We look at things differently.
And even to this day, we have to pause, wait, we might be using the same words, but we're meaning the opposite.
Yeah.
Which is, even when we're building things, we think from different angles, and we have to clarify with each other.
Yeah, you have to communicate clearly.
is this what you're talking about? And not to take offense, but if you're hurt, communicate that. Don't go to bed with anything festering, because things do fester.
I'm confident that anybody who's listening who's married, when you got married, you had a love for each other and an understanding that you get along, and you wanted to be together.
Right.
And now you want to keep that togetherness, that feeling throughout your whole marriage. So many people let that go away because of anger issues or disagreements or being hurt like you were and not ever talking about it. And those things can pile up. So the point here is, this doesn't have to be long, is, don't let the sun go down on your anger. Don't let communication...
Literally, do not go to bed if there's something on your heart that's, that there's a conflict. Don't go to bed.
That's sound advice from Paul the Apostle.
Yeah.
Don't let the sun go down on your anger. Deal with it that day. That will diffuse it. That will diminish its power in your life, in your heart. It will diminish the power of that anger to destroy or harm your relationship with your spouse. And the same goes with other people, of course. You express, if you're angry, express yourself, and there's ways of doing that without yelling, just say, I'm feeling angry because you said or did this.
Feelings are neither right and wrong, and maybe someone else wouldn't feel that way.
Right.
The best class I had in college was interpersonal communication. It was really excellent.
You enjoyed that most.
I really did, because it's owning your feelings are neither right nor wrong.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
Own your feeling. I feel this way. There's no judgment on it. That's how you feel.
Right.
Someone else might not feel that way.
And certainly they may not perceive that how you feel.
Right. So marriage is about learning to understand who this person is and learning to appreciate who this person is. And love deepens as you get to know each other. So even though you've gotten to know each other in the dating years, engagement period, when you're married, you're still getting to know your spouse.
Right.
And a big part of that is learning to communicate.
Right.
And the biggest areas of learning are when there are these conflicts or hurt feelings. And you have to keep communicating that. I mean, even years into marriage, 35 years, we've been married 35 years.
And you don't have to wait till you go to bed.
Right. You'd like to go to sleep.
Yes. Right. Oh, you want to talk? Oh, okay. I just was about to go to sleep. So
but it was so hard for me. I think the first time it was we were in bed because
and if you practice this type of communication, honest communication, the kids will pick that up. They'll learn how to do the same thing.
And it becomes easier to deal with conflict. Now, even though I still hate conflict. I can do it. I can enter into a conversation where there is conflict.
When you enter into conflicting situations by expressing the truth, all right, about something like feelings or about a situation, you will learn that nobody bites your head off. That you're not going to...
well, sometimes people might bite your head off, but hopefully in a marriage, it's not going to happen.
You're not going to die.
Right.
You'll survive.
Right.
Right. So, we're talking about relationships here. And
build your marriage, build your future.
Yes.
You do it one of the ways by not letting the sun go down on your anger.
Right. And the family that's together and not at each other, but in love with each other, the family in love is a bulwark in society. That unit has impact on those around them, the neighbors, the other family, extended family. All right, be that couple, that family that is together, and others will admire that and learn from that and want to be around you.
And it doesn't just happen, though.
It doesn't just happen.
If you see that in other people, it didn't just happen.
Right.
They worked on their relationship.
Purpose in your heart, and communicate with your spouse. You know, we're going to work on this. Okay, hey, we're looking at this differently. You know, we're going to have to resolve this. You know, but work together. Work together as friends. You know, your best friend is your spouse. That's who your best friend should be.
And I have to say, I have learned to understand a whole nother perspective in life, meaning you. I mean, your perspective is totally different than my perspective in some areas. But you have to learn to put yourself in someone else's shoes,
Right.
and how they perceive things.
And I've learned a lot from Ann on her perspective.
That we become a fuller unit
Yeah.
together
Yes.
than each of us as individuals.
Yes. So, in conclusion, let's say work on your relationship and primarily don't let the sun go down on your anger. Communicate with
Communicate
each other.
your heart.
Yeah. Be open and honest and truthful
Yes.
with each other.
Yeah.